Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Thursday. Hey, baby, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Very good. We've got a Dear John letter coming up later in the program, so those are always fun.
Those are always fun.
If you'd like to submit a Dear John letter for next week, you can get all the details on our Facebook page, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. Did you see the new cover photo that I put on there, by the way?
Yes. It's cute.
It's got a cartoon of Charlie now.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun. Hey, 35% of Self magazine readers admitted they dislike having house guests.
I love having house guests.
That's why they read Self magazine.
Yeah.
Sit here by myself. This is interesting. If you were to visit the average household in America, how many calendars would you find inside?
Maybe one.
5.
What?
The average household has 5 calendars. That just seems like a really big number to me.
Well, you know what? I guess we do. I've got one in the kitchen.
Think about they're like in your checkbook. They're in there. I have one on my calendar on my phone. You know, that's where I keep mine. So I don't know. 5 calendars is how many we have. A couple of interesting things right there. Find out what kind of special things are happening today in just a bit. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
Thought you'd never ask. It's Thursday, February the 16th. It is Kyoto Protocol Day today.
Of course.
It's also National Almond Day today. I like almonds.
I do like almonds.
Do you like almond milk? Have you ever had that?
Yeah, I don't care for that.
I thought it was pretty good. I had some. I don't remember what I got it for. There's like a what do you call those things? Recipe. I think that I had that. I don't know.
I don't know why they call it that. It's not milk. You can't milk an almond.
Well, you can. You get it. It's got tiny little nipples, though. It's barely squeezing.
I read something online, though, that said nobody would drink nut juice, so they have to call it that.
Oh, boy.
I think that's hilarious.
National Almond Day. We're going to steer back on course. Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Thursday.
John and Heidi.
Hey, it's John from the John and Heidi Show. Join me and my wife Heidi at 80s in the Sand, a week-long 80s event this November 11th through the 18th in beautiful Punta Cana. That's in the Dominican Republic. You'll get to meet and listen to 80s bands like Loverboy, Starship, Howard Jones, and many more. Plus, meet 80s icons from the movies like Anthony Michael Hall, Andrew McCarthy, and several others. Get all of the details at 80sinthesand.com. Use promo code RADIO to get a $200 immediate refund per person. That's 80sinthesand.com, promo code RADIO.
John and Heidi.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio at home or at school or wherever. How about a decorative toilet? Says a lot of us spend time in the restroom, little as possible usually, but we're talking about a school here where you don't want to spend any more time in there than you absolutely have to. Hall passes weren't made to create free time, so why would a school decorate their bathroom with gold mirrors and green foliage and decorative plasterwork? Well, nobody really knows why. But at Wally Range High School for Girls in Manchester, they're doing just that. Turns out the school's principal thinks that restrooms say a lot about an organization, so she wants them to look good. She says kids love it. They look after them respectfully. She says the art design will now be moving on to the rest of the school. The purple and gold paint they put some sort of paint effect in there, has already been added to the entrance hall along with Roman columns, and the decorative plasterwork will be on the walls as well. So they started their remodel in the bathroom.
This is probably a private school where they pay ridiculous tuitions, and one of the parents probably went there and had their undies in a bunch because the bathrooms weren't beautiful.
So
now probably a parent complaint that started that whole thing.
Now they're decorative toilets, and at home and at school and wherever they want to do them, and Wally Range High School in Manchester, England has them. So there you go. Gonna have your brain on drugs, your moment of duh, your scoop of the day. It's all on the way on the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
And this is your brain on drugs. In Indiana, Tyrone Gales and Andrew Ashley were tailgating a car while driving along Interstate 65. The car they were tailgating happened to be a marked patrol car. The deputy was nice enough to slow down and change lanes to let them pass. Instead, the boys pulled over and stopped. When the deputy approached the car to assist them, he noticed they had switched drivers as well. Upon further notice, he smelled marijuana. Search of the car turned up a duffel bag containing about $13,000 in cash and marijuana and a free ride to jail as well. So there you go. It's a bad idea. Coming up, we've got your moment of duh.
John and Heidi.
Now your moment of duh. I'm not exactly sure what was going on here, but doctors in India had to spend about 90 minutes working on this to remove a toothbrush from a man's throat.
Yikes.
He was supposedly brushing his teeth when he supposedly accidentally swallowed his toothbrush. I'm not exactly sure how you do this. This is a 40-year-old businessman. Said he was, quote, vigorously cleaning his tongue when he suddenly swallowed the toothbrush and couldn't cough it up.
Must have been a small toothbrush.
Apparently. I can't even imagine.
Like one of those travel ones, maybe.
And swallowed it. Ugh. That just, yeah. I mean, yeah. That just doesn't sound very comfortable.
No.
So how embarrassing would that be to have to go to the doctor's office and say, well, the darndest thing happened.
You couldn't say anything. There's a toothbrush in your throat.
Hello.
You'd have to write it.
I think after this, he should probably tie his toothbrush on a string, just in case. I've had toothbrushes that had a little hole on the end. Maybe that's what that's for.
Maybe.
All right. Your scoop of the day is on the way.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now your scoop of the day. The University of California at San Francisco has banned sweetened beverages from their campus. So no more of that. So what can you drink there? Basically just water, do you think?
This was a university?
Yeah, University of California at San Francisco.
That is ridiculous. These kids are adults. They can choose whatever they want.
Well, not anymore. They can't choose that. Not on campus.
I would be leaving campus all the time.
Where are you going?
Nobody's going to tell me what to do.
Drink something delicious and stare at you guys and laugh.
It's ridiculous.
In other news, a Brazilian man is addicted to funerals. He goes to a funeral every single time there's one in his town. He's been to every funeral for the last 20 years. Huh. He quit his job to feed this addiction.
Oh, wow.
So, I don't know. He says when his father passed away, he went to his father's funeral, and that's what set off the addiction. He's gone to every funeral ever since then. I think I read about this online.
He's still mourning, apparently, and that's how he's dealing with it. Or either that or he really likes those ham sandwiches.
Yeah, I don't know. Either way. This is a very bizarre story. There was a man elk hunting. This was in Oregon. A 69-year-old elk hunter, Gary Heater, was dragging an elk carcass behind his ATV up a steep hill on Saturday when the vehicle flipped, impaling Heater in the back of the elk's antlers. So he got stuck in the back on the elk's. Members of his hunting party worked to stop the bleeding until a helicopter evac could land and remove him because they were in a remote area in the mountains, and he had to go to a hospital. Last report, he was in fair condition, but the dead elk got him, with his antlers in the back. So he just fell over on top of the antlers. That's kind of crazy. Living in space for a year can change a lot about a person, including their DNA. According to preliminary data released by NASA, Kelly's genes, fine motor skills, microbiome, and other aspects from his body were altered during the 340 days he spent in orbit from 2015 to 2016, the astronaut that was up there. So they said even his DNA changed a little bit.
You know what?
What's that?
If you were an astronaut and you knew you were getting ready to go up to space, that would be the perfect time to commit a murder right before going up in space, because when they come back and try to compare your DNA, it doesn't match.
Here's the thing, that most of those astronauts are pretty good folks, and I can't imagine plotting my revenge. Don't think so. Hey, Burger King is going to go cage-free by the end of 2017, which is awesome. Because, every time I go to Burger King, I hate it when they seat me in the cage. Oh, wait a minute. That's not what they're talking about? I have no clue what that story even means. What does cage-free mean?
Eggs and chickens and stuff.
But does Burger King own that
Chicken
stuff?
sandwiches?
Yeah, but I'm saying, do they?
They're going to purchase from...
Oh, that makes more sense.
No, it's not like they've got chickens in the back.
Out back. Chicken sandwich. Hang on a second. Need 3 more chickens. Maybe that's not how it works. Hey, the Rare Breed Survival Trust list for 2016 has Clydesdales listed as endangered species. Only 5,000 left in the world, and they all work for Budweiser, I think. So maybe not all of them.
That's too bad. Those are beautiful.
They are absolutely beautiful. Global temperatures have been steady since 1999. Climate scientists are calling it a pause in global warming. So there you go. They're like, we weren't wrong. It's just paused. That's all. That's what's going on. Hey, some people say they hate Mondays, but research says no. Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursday, they also hate those. Researchers who did a poll of 340,000 people found moods were no worse on Monday than they were any other day other than Friday. Friday's the day they like. All these other days, it's like, whatever.
Yeah, I agree. Friday's a good day.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
How about Thursday? Because today's Thursday. Is today a good day?
Thursday's a good day because it's almost Friday.
You know why today's a good day also?
Why?
Because we have a Dear John letter on the way.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Radio advertising works. When it's done right, it works even better. There are many things you can do to get a better response, and shouting sale really isn't the best thing, believe it or not. Did you know that when you put words to music, they're 9 times more memorable? If you're trying to get people to remember your company, consider a jingle. We work with one of the very best jingle companies in the business, and we'd love to use music to help you grow your company. Learn more and hear examples at RadioReallyWorks.com. That's RadioReallyWorks.com.
John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening on a Thursday. Ooh, it's a Thursday. You know what that means? It's time for
Dear John Letters.
Dear John.
And we got a good Dear John letter today. I don't know if I can say a good Dear John letter. I'm actually a little concerned about this person. All right, here we go. Dear John, I'm a woman that believes in being independent, but I'm also on a budget. I've been on the pill for quite a while now, and it's expensive. How do I get my boyfriend to pay for his half of this expense? I think he should pay his fair share. We don't live together, and we don't talk about money very often. I don't know him well enough to talk about things like that. What is your advice? What the what? Signed, independent but broke. Okay. So you don't know him well enough to talk about money, but you're, talking about other stuff. And you're not just talking from the sounds of it. I think I'm going to divert this question to Heidi for a moment so I can think for a second here. What are your thoughts on this? You look speechless, and that doesn't happen often.
If you don't know him well enough to let him into your mind, you don't know him well enough to let him into your...
Well, we can say some of that on the radio. Oh, boy.
End of story.
Yeah.
I think that's all that really needs to be said.
This could be the
here.
shortest Dear John letter segment ever. No, here's one of the things that I would do is, first of all, maybe you, with the fact that you said you don't know him well enough to have this kind of conversation, maybe you should take things a little slower. I mean, seriously.
A lot slower.
But no, seriously. Think about back when we very first started dating. You know, we had a lot of conversations before anything got physical at all. I mean, any kind of smooch or anything. I mean, we talked about a lot of stuff. And maybe we're old-fashioned. You think we're old-fashioned, Heidi?
I don't think I'm old-fashioned at all.
I think we're old-fashioned compared to this young lady.
We're smart compared to this young lady. I'm sorry. I know she listens, and it's unfortunate that she's gotten herself into this position.
And that's the thing. I'm concerned.
No pun intended.
Heidi, come on. She's asking for our help here. Dear independent but broke, I think you need to have a conversation. Because it's really important that you guys talk about this. Now, I understand you're saying, how can we get him to cough up some dough to help pay for this? But I think you guys need to have a conversation about a lot more than just that. A lot more than just finances. I mean, I'm trying to think of the phrase that it's something like, why buy the cow when you get the milk for free?
There you go.
You know? Respect yourself more than that. Respect yourself more than, being just that. If you can't have a conversation about money, then you certainly shouldn't be snuggling up to each other. I'm not a doctor or psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever it is. I'm none of those things. I'm just a dude sitting in a studio talking with my wife about something that's making me very uncomfortable. That's all I am right now.
I'm not uncomfortable. Why are you uncomfortable?
I don't know. There's probably some people listening that have to now explain why this is so uncomfortable to their children. I mean, last week when I was saying make the letters a little more lighthearted, nobody was paying attention, clearly.
I don't know. I thought this one was way more fun.
Well, it's more fun. Yeah, it's a bit better than last week, but somebody asked me advice on something else, like something fun, something we can have fun with. I'm trying to give a solid, real good answer to this. And I just keep going back to, I think you're not ready for the other part. I mean, seriously, don't you agree?
Oh, yeah.
I'm saying if you can't have a conversation with somebody about finances, and I'm not saying that you need to, like when you start dating somebody, so how much money do you make? I don't think that you should be doing that. That's not the kind of thing that you do. But if you're uncomfortable talking about sharing an expense, then why would you share that part of your life with somebody? I mean, you're not ready for that. And that's why you're uncomfortable. I think that's why you're uncomfortable. I don't know. Again, I'm an old guy with kids that I have no idea. It doesn't say how old this young lady is, so I have no idea. She could be older than us. She could be. Well, I'm 73. Well, in that case, my advice is a little different. I have no idea. It does not have an age on here. But again, my concern would be, I think you're going too fast. If you can't have a conversation about something as simple as finances and splitting the expense on something, that thing that you're splitting the expense on, you're not ready for. My advice. Heidi's advice was what? What was it again?
It was the same. I just
a
phrased
lot more
it differently.
colorful. I had to bleep hers, so there you go. Hey, if you've got a fun Dear John letter for next week, fun, lighthearted, something that we can talk about without blushing, that would be fantastic. You can submit your Dear John letter at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show, and you're going to want to send a message to us right through that page. Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Thursday.
John and Heidi.
Are you looking for senior care for your mom or dad but don't know where to start? No one knows your loved ones better than you do, and no one knows senior living better than A Place for Mom. They've helped thousands of families find the right place for their loved ones. The Senior Living Advisors at A Place for Mom partner with thousands of families every month, listening and offering local knowledge and advice to help find the best senior living communities across the country. Call 1-800-471-5173. That's 1-800-471-5173.
John and Heidi.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
There are mirrors on the moon. They were left there by astronauts so laser beams could be bounced off of them from the Earth. These beams help give us the distance to the moon and give, it says give or take a few meters. So they shoot a laser up there and it bounces back. But if you look up in the night sky and you see a little glimmer, maybe it's that mirror on the moon. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
When the volcano Krakatoa near Java exploded in 1883, it was so loud people in North America could hear it.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The first host of the TV game show Jeopardy was Art Fleming. That was back in 1964.
Okay.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The gestation period of a hippo is 8 to 8.5 months. So pretty close to that of a person. 9 months for people. And our final fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Australia's national anthem is called what? Wrong. Advance Australia Fair. That is what it's called.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
You
so-
didn't give me enough time.
Yeah, see, just trying to help you out, that's all. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This is Richard Lustig, the world's first and only 7-time lottery game grand prize winner. Since I endorsed Lottolicious, I have won something every single draw. They do all the work. You don't have to worry about running to the store to buy your tickets. They take care of all that. So if you're looking for the best way to play the lottery, to give yourself the best chance of winning, go to RadioLottoPool.com and join today. Again, that website is RadioLottoPool.com.
John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Thursday. If you thought PG-13 movies were less violent than R-rated movies, think again, Heidi. New research finds gun violence in PG-13 action movies is on the rise, with Hollywood increasingly relying on shoot-'em-up scenes to fill the seats. Building on an earlier study, they sampled the top 30 grossing films between 2012 and 2015 to determine the number of 5-minute segments in which a character fires a gun at someone. Writing in the Journal of Pediatrics, they report the rate of gun violence in PG-13 movies in 2012 equaled that of R-rated films restricted to 17 years and older and outpaced those a year later. It says here, kids of all ages are allowed in cinemas to watch PG-13 movies, though parents are strongly cautioned. Some of the most violent PG-13 films were some of the most popular, like 2015 Star Wars The Force Awakens. Previous research has shown that the repeated exposure to violence on screen can make kids more aggressive. The research says until more is known, pediatricians should advise parents to, quote, be cautious about exposing their children to violent films, end quote. So there you go. What do you think of all that?
I think that's fascinating.
So, again, they're just saying that, it's not necessarily just the rating that it should be rated according to that, because the rating is talking about things other than that content.
Okay.
So here's one of the things that I would say, and we have done it before. We've seen commercials for movies that we thought looked really good. We've gone to them with our daughter. I remember the one in particular.
The one
I'm not even going to say what it was.
Horrible.
But it was kind of promoted as a movie.
And I am a pretty lenient parent. I mean, we let her watch all kinds of stuff.
Anybody that knows
but
you knows
this
that.
one
It was
made
terrible.
me very uncomfortable.
And we're sitting in the movie the whole time.
And
There's
I just kept
things
thinking
I was like,
we should
whoa.
probably go. But I also kept thinking, it's going to it's not going to be like this all the way through.
No, it's got to get better. I'm like, whoa,
The
it got
credits
worse.
didn't.
How did
It got
get
way
worse?
worse. It was horrible.
We won't say the movie. Maybe we'll say on our Facebook page. But again, I don't even want to admit that we took our daughter to that
Oh, it
movie.
was terrible.
It was not good. Anyway, I don't know what the rating was on it, but whatever it was, we failed as parents that day. Adulting is hard. Adulting is really, really hard. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Only 2 in 10 Americans say they're ready for the unthinkable. Are you ready for a natural disaster? What would happen if you were not able to go out to get food for your family during extreme weather? How long would you be okay without power and without access to get more food? Wise Company has the ultimate emergency preparedness pack with enough emergency food kits for a week, or upgrade to be prepared for a month or longer. Call toll-free 888-552-3759. It pays to be prepared. Learn more at radiosavings.com.
John and Heidi.
It's not always easy to convince yourself to exercise after a long day of work, but according to Time Magazine's report, they say people who consistently manage to do it may be using a simple trick, whether they realize that they're doing it or not. A study published in the Journal of Health Psychology found the most consistent exercisers were those who made exercise into a specific type of habit, one triggered by your own internal or environmental cue. I remember back when I would go to the gym every day, it really wasn't hard to do after I got used to it.
Yeah, it's like 2 weeks up for something to become a habit.
28 days, I think it is. Researchers say the only factor that predicted how often a person exercised over a long period was the strength of their habit. They said they also get stronger over time. So if your habits are not so good, stretch them a little bit, and before you know it, your habits will be better. So there you go. I've got the details on that story at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This absolutely fascinates me. Does being pro-life or pro-choice have any effect on your family life? It actually might, according to the number of children that you would have. People who are, for abortions and people who are against abortions have completely differing habits when it comes to having offspring, which, kind of makes sense, really. It says here a study finds evidence that the higher fertility rates of pro-life people compared to those who are pro-choice is just kind of on average interesting. And they started doing the research on this like 34 years ago. They did a 34-year study, and they found pro-life families have on average 2.5 children, and pro-choice families have on average just 2 children. So that's kind of interesting.
It is.
And they say, in addition to having more children, the children of pro-life parents appear to be more likely than children of pro-choice parents to adopt the view of their parents. So if your parents are pro-life, chances are you're pro-life, more so than if your parents are pro-choice, according to the study. So I've got a link to this story on our Facebook page, too. I just thought that was fascinating. Facebook.com/John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Do you shop online? Do you like to save money? Save money with Honey. Let me explain. Honey is a really smart tool that's free to use. I'm not really an online shopper. I get as many things locally as possible, but there are some things you can only buy online. So when I heard about Honey, I thought, what the heck? It's free. I'll give it a shot. The very first time I used it was for a domain name. It's usually $12.99. Honey searched the internet and found me a discount code, so I bought it from the same exact website for just 99 cents. So I saved $12. It's absolutely free, so what do you have to lose? Check it out at SaveMoneyWithHoney.com.
John and Heidi.
You've heard the song Take This Job and Shove It, right?
Yes.
Have you ever heard the song Take This Job and Love It?
No.
Well, that's what it should be. If you'd like to tell your boss to just, stuff it, maybe you need to sing a different tune. Studies find that upwards of 56% of Americans would like to, once in a while, say, yeah, I don't think so, I'm done. Psychotherapist out of New York, Miriam Biddleman, says there's a lot you can do to make yourself happier at work. Here are 7 of her top ways to take this job and love it. Buddy up. It says when workers bond and socialize, they create a sense of community. So you're supposed to, at least be friendly to each other and become buddies with people at work. Next, try to do more, not less. They say if you dig in at work and, you produce more satisfaction, then you're actually going to maybe get a promotion or even a better job. Next, snag more responsibility. Even if your title or your pay remain the same, if you're in charge of some sort of detail at work, you have higher self-esteem. Next thing, keep photos of your spouse or your kids or your pet, whether it's on a coffee mug or if it's on a little poster hanging on the wall or a frame on the desk or somewhere within sight. If you have pictures of people who you love and you're going, I'm here to make.
That's why I'm here.
I'm here. I can deal with that person because I love that person. Head for the hills. It says get away from your desk once in a while, like over your lunch break and during coffee breaks. Don't hang around your desk. They say get out. If you get some fresh air, it's like a whole rejuvenating experience.
Revigorating,
or whatever it was.
Revigorating.
Yeah. Did I just make up a word? I think it's reinvigorating. Anyway, get out and get some fresh air. That's what they're saying. Next, phone it in. Could any part of your work be done at home, on the phone, or over the computer? A lot of people work from home these days, and if you can work from home once in a while, that's not such a bad thing. And then finally, let perks perk you up. There you go. Maybe a raise is out of the question. If you talk about getting a raise, but the funds are just not there, maybe they'd be able to give you some flex time or some other much-needed perks. And if you don't ask, you won't get those things. So they're saying you got to ask. So there you go. A couple ideas on how to take this job and love it. Thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This portion of The John and Heidi Show is brought to you by The John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying The John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always try to wrap things up around here with some good news, and I think we got some good news here today, Heidi.
Alrighty.
Take a listen to this story. There's an elementary school champion. He has a customized secret handshake routine for every one of his students.
I've seen this video.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's adorable.
Online. Seriously, a different handshake for every individual student. That would be really tough. This high-energy 5th grade teacher, Barry White Jr., has a special routine going viral. And like Heidi said, she saw the video. Did you see it? If you haven't, I'll make it easy. It's on our Facebook page. Social media has picked up on this little video of him greeting his students at the start of the day. It's incredible. And what a fun and interesting way to show each and every child that they are unique and they are special and they are individual.
Yep. And that you care enough about them to remember them.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's really
when
super
I was a kid,
cool.
the teachers that I had, some were really good. And there were others that didn't even care enough to know my name. It was like,
right.
You, John, Jeff, Jerry, Jason, whatever your name is. You in the corner. Quit being a goofball. When you were a student, did you have teachers like that? Did you have some that were like awesome, like the craziest, best teachers ever?
I had.
Who was your best
awesome
teacher?
Mr. Ingram.
You had a crush on him, didn't you?
I did. I adored him. I still do.
I remember you telling me that.
He's a wonderful man.
Then I met him, and I was like, so you're into older guys. Huh?
Well, of course he was older. He was my teacher.
Yeah, well,
what'd you think?
Well, I guess that kind of makes sense. One of my favorite teachers was Mrs. Kreutzfeldt. I had a lot of great teachers, but one of the things that she would do is I would watch Johnny Carson late at night. Kids, this is back in the 80s and 90s. I would watch Johnny Carson, and she would watch it too, and she would kind of come in and deliver Johnny's monologue, and she would tailor those jokes. It was so much fun, and she just it was English of all things. She made English fun, and it was just such a great class.
That's cool.
And that's how I've got such a great grasp on this language.
Yes, it's super impressive.
Because I have learned from the best.
What about your hairy art teacher that you had a crush on?
You make that sound bad. Mrs. Wintersheet. Hubba hubba. No, she was awesome. She was a hippie, though. She was. She drove like a hippie bus and everything. It was, I don't know. I wonder what she's up to these days. I'm not going to look her up online because that would be creepy. All right, time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show. I divulged way too much info right there. If you'd like to see the secret handshakes, I got all that at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show.